When the wind fills the sail completely, the boat is heading quickly towards its intended destination. But if the sailor exposes the sail to the wind excessively, this could cause the boat to capsize and sink overboard. If you open your mouth too much, you could end up like the boat or worse. We often hear that silence is the language of every wise man, but have you ever asked yourself why? I will tell you, since the beginning of humanity, humans have a strong belief that everything rare is expensive and everything common is cheap. For example, diamond is expensive because it is found in limited quantities, but wood is cheap because it is found in large quantities. This is why some ancient civilizations used gold and diamonds to guarantee their religious rituals. They considered gold and diamonds to be a symbol of happiness and good.
We just found a pile of gold!
If you talk a lot, no one will listen to you because it will be cheap in their eyes. But if you talk little and not clearly explained, people will like your words and respect you, even if it was a stupid thing. And more importantly, the more you talk, the more likely you are to say something that people hate or see you as a fake person who has no value. Our story happened in Rome. Marcus was a great military hero. He was able to achieve terrifying victories in decisive battles, and other than that, Marcus was able to save Rome from destruction. There was only a few people who knew him personally, so it became like a living legend among them. People used to talk about him as if he was not human at all. Marcus was in the eyes of people as a noble angel present to protect them. But what happened is that Marcus decided to take advantage of his military and political position among people to nominate himself to the position of consul. This position was the highest in Rome. So the candidates for the position had to go out and speak to people before the elections. And indeed, Marcus attended among the people and gave a speech. Most people did not hear his speech at all because Marcus was showing his wounds and the scars caused by the wars. And this was enough to move people's emotions and break their hearts, because these wounds were a living proof of his courage and loyalty to his country and people. It was very clear that Marcus was the winner in the elections without a doubt. But when the election day came, Marcus stood up and spoke again to the people. But this time, all his words were directed to the rich people with him, and every word came out of Marcus's mouth, full of an arrogance. All his words were about his complete confidence in winning the elections, as well as his amazing achievements in the battles. Here people were listening, but this time they knew that inside this legend there was a proud and rich man. In a big fight, the news of Marcus's speech to the people in Rome spread, and everyone refused him to win the elections. Indeed, Marcus lost the elections at the time and returned to the battlefields as a soldier, worthless, broken, and dangerous. This bothered Marcus greatly, to the extent that he was planning his revenge. A few weeks later, a ship of grains arrived in Rome, and the sheiks of the city wanted to distribute them to the people. But at that time, Marcus intervened and convinced them that the distribution would harm the interests of Rome. And indeed, as Marcus planned, the distribution was canceled. When people heard this, they were very upset with what Marcus had done, and they began to ask him for an official apology, but he refused. And at that moment, protest and incitement began to spread everywhere, until the Sheikh's council agreed to distribute the pills to the people and let Marcus apologize to them. And indeed, Marcus went and spoke for the last time to the people, and everyone was silent and listening to him. His words were slow and soft indeed, but over time, he began to turn into angry and annoying words, and he began an insult. And the voice of arrogance returned to Marcus's words. And in just one moment, people exploded and took off from the platform. And after the people's representatives spoke, they sentenced him to death. But after the intervention of the nobility, the sentence was reduced to life imprisonment. To sum up what happened, before Marcus entered the field of politics, his name gave people the feeling of awe and greatness, and people loved him, because his achievements are what have been talked about, and he was a great and brave man. And because people did not know him personally, they considered him a legend, and he became a symbol of glory. But when people heard a lot of what Marcus said, they could know more about him, and this removed the legendary mask that Marcus was wearing, and a disgusting and arrogant person appeared under him who wanted to understand that if Marcus had said less than that, they wouldn't have felt his arrogance, and Marcus would have been loved by people first and foremost. But when he talked too much, people started to hate him. So keep your words little to become valuable and required by people. Do not be silent just to appear in the presence of the person of honor. Be silent because you are listening to people. Always keep listening, because the one who listens more knows more. If you talk too much, you could end up like Marcus or worse.